Hey guys, Walker Dybel, author of Buy Then Build, creator of the Acquisition Lab. Today we're going to talk about the 5 myths. And the reason why is because often when I talk with entrepreneurs about, utilizing acquisition in entrepreneurship, I might get some blank stares or raised eyebrows, right? It's not a traditional way of thinking about having to do this. And most entrepreneurs believe that entrepreneurship is in the startup, okay? And so what I want to do is unpack some of these things based on data and my experience and observations, and we're going to go through the 5 myths, okay, that frame entrepreneurship for most people, and will allow you to kind of put acquisition entrepreneurship on the spectrum of entrepreneurship, okay? And so the first myth, is that a lot of would-be entrepreneurs believe I need to be passionate about an original idea, okay? And what I want to talk about here is kind of 2 things, right? The first being that, Peter Thiel wrote a book called 0 to 1, right? Co-founder of PayPal, so on and so forth. Iconoclastic entrepreneur, Peter Thiel. And so in 0 to 1, he talks about, how you need to create a business from scratch and change the way the world works, right? It's a really ambitious, bold, wonderful read and wonderful practice that's part of entrepreneurship. But the thing is that in my basically going on 20 years in the entrepreneurship community, what I've seen is that the far majority of people are not doing 0 to 1 kind of businesses. Okay, they're doing N+1. We're trying to build a better mousetrap, right? We're not trying to recreate markets from scratch. Okay, and so the thing is that like if you understand that most entrepreneurs, I don't have data around it, but when I was in EO for 6 years and on the board and worked with thousands of entrepreneurs around the world, what I found was there was a very thriving community of N+1 type people, right? Some of the most successful entrepreneurs that I know are, not changing the way that we do things, but rather, getting the timing right and introducing more of an N+1 type idea at the right time, okay? And so the thing is that it doesn't have to be an original idea, okay? It has to be applied at the right time, something that's, maybe slightly different point of view, so on and so forth, okay? The second thing is one of the most successful entrepreneurs that I know has started multiple companies, and he said to me, Walker, sometimes I'll start a business and I'm really passionate about it. I really want to do it. I can't wait to get started, and I get it going and I put in time and effort and put people on it and all the rest of it, and it just never quite gets going or profitable. And so after not so long, I start to really lose passion about it because it's not going. On the flip side, I'll see an opportunity and it's like, okay, well, let's start doing this because I think that this will work and I know how to do operations and sort of make money here. Let's do it, and then we'll get it going and it'll start making money, and then I'll get really, really passionate about it because it's like building up momentum and flywheel and growing and all the rest of it. And so the thing is that like it's really fun and theoretical to stay excited about an original idea. It's really hard to get execution on it. And the truth is that if you can start a sustainable business, something that has positive cash flow, then the passion typically comes with it, right? It's just like, having a job that you enjoy rather than starting a company from scratch. Like, this is not a big leap, okay, that it takes. I mean, sometimes if you're an entrepreneur, your startups fail and you've got to go corporate and just find a job that you like, okay? This is kind of no different. And so the point there is that buying an existing business, of course, has that sort of existing infrastructure that's not necessarily a 0 to 1, but it's there for you to use as a platform to turn into your own N+1 kind of startup. And because there's existing cash flow, it's as long as you're into it, right? As long as it speaks to you and it's something that you can have an impact around, acquisition entrepreneurship is applied there. And so the myth number 2 is innovation, right? People feel like, well, when I do this startup, like it's got to be innovative, innovation. Well, the thing is go read How the Mighty Fall by Jim Collins. And what's wonderful about this is if you know Jim Collins, it's he takes like 24 Stanford PhDs and does like years of research and comes out with all the data and sort of like reveals the truth in terms of like what's really going on, right? And the thing is that when you look at innovation, okay, in industry, It's important. It's really important, and it's really fun. Okay, it's also really hard. And the thing is that like it's not the innovators that end up dominating industries. It's the incumbents that make the leap. Okay, so the incumbents are hanging out, moving along. Some startup comes up with an innovation. Okay, that does change the way that we operate. Okay, that's 0 to 1 type idea. It's the existing people that can move over to this way of doing things that end up dominating. So the innovator either gets adopted or overtaken, and the ones that don't make the leap kind of go down. So the point here is that being an incumbent is more important than being the innovator, okay? Based on data, all right? And statistics. And so being an incumbent would mean you don't need to be the one going out and innovating, you need to be the incumbent. In other words, you can buy a business and be the incumbent, okay, and innovate from there, or adjust to trends from there. Number 3, Walker, this is really interesting. I understand that you always say that like startups fail, and so like we really need to like engineer a better way to be entrepreneurs and all the rest of it. But the thing is like you think too small, okay? I'm going the venture capital route. Venture capital is the only real way to start a business, right? You're either venture capital or and then there's everyone else. Okay, great. Let's talk about that for a minute. Venture capital, okay, based on, there was a Harvard study. I'm just checking my notes here. I don't see what I don't have what it was, but there was a guy at Harvard did a study and basically went out and found that 75% of venture capital backed startups go completely to zero, okay? And only 25 of them ever have an exit, okay? If you go read a book by Basil Peters called Early Exits, you'll find that VC funds are the exits behind VC funds are getting smaller and smaller and smaller, okay, and earlier. And you know, it's a trend, and it's fine. It still works, right? But here's the point. The point is that venture capital is a venture capital game, and the house wins. It's not an entrepreneurship game. It's great to get a shot at bat, but it's venture capital only works due to portfolio theory, and they know full well, you know, that 75% or 3/4 of these entrepreneurs that they back are absolutely gonna not work out. And the other thing is that venture capital looks for opportunities in adolescent markets with the right team. Okay, so it has more to do with timing and team than it does with, you know, like an idea or your own personal drive in order to do it or whatever, right? And so the point is that even like those 4 that they back, they're really looking at adolescent markets. Going back to the first thing we talked about with N+1 businesses, they are not going to be interested in N+1 businesses. They are not going to be interested in the incumbent businesses. These are the guys that are trying to push the innovations out that get adopted by the ones that are already there. Okay, so venture capital does not solve for this for the struggle of startups being a bad vehicle. Okay, startups drive the economy, right? We all know that startup businesses actually are the things that provide jobs for everybody, right? We all know that. Wrong. It's actually not. There is a economist named David Birch who came out with the term gazelles to describe the following. It is a $1 million revenue business to begin with, and then it grows 20% every year for 4 years, okay? And the reason why this is important, the gazelles, the group of gazelles, is because they provide 70% of the jobs in the United States. Okay, and so the thing is it's not the startups, it's not all the startups, it's not even the big companies. A gazelle can be an elephant of a company, or it can be a mouse of a company. It doesn't matter on the size, and again, it doesn't matter on, you know, the innovation or if they're VC backed or any of these types of things. It's really going to be you know, the rate of growth and therefore the impact that they're having on the economy and the jobs. Okay, and the fifth myth, okay, is that you need to be rich to buy a business, right? Like, oh, Walker, must be nice to buy a business. You must be loaded. Well, here's what I'm gonna tell you. Due to trends in the SBA, starting January 1st of 2018, you're able to get cash flow based loans to buy these small companies. And as you've probably seen in one of my other talks, only 4% of companies in the United States ever reach $1 million in revenue. So you can buy one of the 4% largest companies in America for less than $100,000 very, very frequently, okay? And that's because that you're able to have access to bank loans from the Small Business Administration. Yes, there's other institutional investors moving into the space. There's still a few standard deviations away of how the private capital markets work. But the thing is that don't think that you need to have a whole lot of cash in order to go out and do it. It's a lot easier to sort of go out and raise, $100,000 or $200,000 than it is to go raise $1 million. And especially if you're going to go out and buy an existing company that already has existing cash flow, because you're decreasing the risk to that startup investor, and you're having to raise just a fraction of the amount in order to have a greater impact sooner. Okay, so those are the 5 myths. Again, in summary, it's passionate about an original idea, scratch; innovation, scratch; venture capital, scratch; startups drive the economy, scratch; 5, I need to be rich to buy a business. No, you don't. Okay, so when you think about acquisition, okay, in terms of entrepreneurship, just understand it really is the money ball of entrepreneurship, right? So you start with profitable revenue and infrastructure, and then you acquire it based on historical earnings and innovate from there. If you are going to buy a business in the next year, check out the Acquisition Lab. We're at acquisitionlab.com. We are a vetted group of buyers, and we go through world-class education, coaching, extensive tools, and a vetted community in order to fight isolation, help you understand the business model, and get you to your goal faster. Thanks a lot.